Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with the Dark Elves, going to be taking on the Wood Elves. So let's go ahead and get started. I've brought a Khanite Assassin here. I think honestly a pretty underrated hero. It's relatively cheap, can spread around some nice poison missile damage, also has poison melee attacks, murderous mastery, and of course the Assassin's Trophy debuff. We've got a couple of Dark Riders here, a couple of Harpies, more Dark Riders out on the far side, and the Slaanesha's Harvesters hidden in the woods up on the high ground. I've got a Supreme Sorceress, Lore of Fire, and a couple of Cold One Knights as well, 4 units of Dread Spears, and a couple of Bolt Throwers. I was definitely preparing more for a ranged-oriented build with all the fast-moving units, but Dutch Skink here actually brought something that I was not expecting, which is sort of a bit of an infantry rush. We've got some War Dancers, both of the spears and swords here, a couple Dryads as well, lots of Eternal Guards, some Glade Guards, so a nice mixed build here, a couple Wild Riders also. So yeah, it's going to be a bit tough to defend these artillery pieces potentially, and with all these spears and so on, my light cavalry especially is going to have a tough time. That being said, Harpies of course do count as infantry size, so they won't be subject to that anti-large bonus that the Eternal Guard have. And over here you can see we're able to catch these Wild Riders on a charge with the 2 Cold One Knights. Going to be a very advantageous situation for me since the Wild Riders didn't really get too much of a charge bonus. That being said, Eternal Guard are following up to get engaged, and you can see as well that the general infantry fight going to be getting in the way here. The Dread Spears and Eternal Guard going to clash. And you can see Dutch Skink starts to focus with his Glade Guard here. This is a great job, exactly what you want to do with kind of the mid-range units. When you get close, pick off these light artillery crews. They are reasonably high-value targets as well. Over here, some Dryads. We're going to throw Flaming Sword of Ruin from the Fire Sorceress to give some flaming magic damage, so those Dryads hopefully will take a bit of extra damage. Not really too impactful there. But yeah, so far just kind of biding our time. These Wild Riders are able to catch my Dark Riders up on the high ground, which is definitely a bit rough. We are going to drop down these Harpies though, and with the second unit of Dark Riders, we should be able to overpower these Wild Riders just through resources. You can see on the charge there, those Harpies actually be able to do some pretty decent damage, but not going great so far. In the center, we get a nice Soul Stealer from the Slaanesha's Harvesters. They're going to come in, start to disrupt this backline area. And yeah, we're going to try and just keep these archers occupied as much as possible. The War Dancers now running in, though, able to do some good damage on those Slaanesha's Harvesters. Azrai Spears, of course, doing very well, but the War Dancers with swords, we just charged directly and able to get quite a few kills against them. So good stuff so far. Murderous Prowess going to pop off at this point, and the Khanite Assassin is now going to start to be used. I think I missed it. It happened very, very quickly, but the Supreme Sorceress with the debuff from the Khanite Assassin just dropped down and sniped out that Spellsinger in a matter of seconds. Likewise, the Khanite Assassin is poking away at the Galady here, who seems that she is not... I don't know if she's returning fire directly at the Khanite Assassin, or looks like she might be shooting over at the Cold One Knights, potentially. But you can see that even though... I mean, the non-armor piercing damage doesn't matter too much, of course. With the Glady, only 50 armor for her up on her horse, so those crossbow bolts are going to be able to do some consistent damage over time. Meanwhile, my own Supreme Sorceress dodging the shots of those Glade Guard as they continue to fight. One of my Bolt Throwers got shut down, but we were able to chase off those Dark Riders eventually. Took some damage, but still able to win out on that engagement there, so pretty good stuff. Another Flaming Sword of Ruin here to give some extra weapon damage, and of course the flaming attacks versus the Dryads. Nice rear charge from the Slaanesha's Harvesters. They're just such a good unit in this matchup. And that Word of Pain, of course, we have been spreading around as well. Haven't caught exactly which units I've been using it on, but still, Supreme Sorceress gets a Prey of Anathrema there, and the Glady's going to come shut down this final Bolt Throw in the back, having taken quite a bit of damage from the Khanite Assassin. Currently tied up in combat over here with the Dark Riders and some Dread Spears. Where's the Assassin at? There he is. Yep. Going to get in here with his dagger, potentially. Nope, looks like he's scooting out of there. So yeah, we throw a fireball at the Glady there. Since she doesn't have a whole lot of armor, she will take some damage from that fireball. Pretty good stuff there, and now the Cold One Knights move in to try and chase her off. With her down, we should be able to clean things up here in the late game, but yeah, definitely taking some pretty serious losses here. There are still a handful of Dryads and Eternal Guard. The Spellsinger, I do believe, was chased off earlier. So yeah, tough stuff for the Wood Elves, but it's just how it goes sometimes. The trophy heads, again, Assassin Trophy, going to be dropped on the Glade Lord, and she's going to get now taken out by the Supreme Sorceress and these Cold One Knights here. Ooh, looks like she's actually going to try and get away, but I don't know. Is she actually fast enough to get away from the charge animation is the question. It does look like she's able to escape the Cold One Knights, but ooh, just stops up for a moment there. Gets a good hit on the Supreme Sorceress with her bow, excuse me. But, yeah, ends up getting terrified away there, so pretty tough stuff. There are still a handful of Wood Elf units fighting, though, and you can see my troops on the ground are getting very low. I really don't have much fighting here at all. The Slaanesh Harvester is doing okay with the Flaming Sword of Ruin, but really we don't have many Dread Spears left, and this Khanite Assassin all of a sudden starts to take a whole bunch of shots to the face from the Glade Guard there, and he's definitely not too comfortable with this situation. We do have some Bolt Throwers operational here. Eternal Guard going to try and get in and shut them down one more time. I guess for the final time for that Bolt Thrower. But yeah, Khanite Assassin starts to take a bunch of damage. The Glady is maybe going to come back from route here. These Wild Riders could actually probably come bail her out. So things not looking completely out of the realm of possibility for Wood Elves. They do still have this nice infantry corps here still together. So maybe they can come in and get some work done. They're going to come forward and try and finish off that Bolt Thrower. I've still got a handful of Dark Riders that I can throw in here to sacrifice to try and keep this Reaper Bolt Thrower online for just long enough that they can get their final attacks. That final word of pain as well on those War Dancers to nerf their melee attacks specifically, since they are a very, very strong unit. We're gonna pull the Khanite Assassin and the Manticore Lady up and around here, and you can see the leadership issues for the Wood Elves are going to start to lead to army losses here in general. That Supreme Sorceress has got to be careful, though. She doesn't want to get picked off by these Glade Guard here too early. So yeah, you can see I'm just kind of bringing all my forces together for one final big rear charge here to finish off the Wood Elves. But yeah, that Manticore Sorceress, pretty decent. I've heard a bunch of people using them recently and seen them, you know, I've come up against them several times as well. And they're definitely a pretty strong option, but here come the Dark Riders, going to get in on the Dryads. Sorry, the Doomfire Warlocks. Of course, they'll cut through the physical resistance of the Dryads just fine. Nice Flaming Sword of Ruin as well as all these units rush in. The Harpies especially, of course, with them counting as infantry size, they'll be able to get in here, do some good damage. The extra weapon strength, quite good on them. Harpies, of course, having very high weapon strength, 44 base, up to 52 with that Flaming Sword of Ruin. So, good stuff. Khanite Assassin continuing to pump his little hand crossbow in there. Oh, yeah. Pretty good stuff. I'm definitely a fan of the Assassin-type characters in general, both for the Dark Elves and for the Skaven. The Goblin Big Boss, I guess you could include in that category, although he doesn't have any debuff, which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, the standard 26-27 debuff that both the Skaven Assassin and the Khanite Assassin have is just so good. I even missed it in the battle because it happened so fast, but just being able to pick off that caster there early on with the debuff, and having the Khanite Assassin as well to just apply that consistent missile pressure and poison. You do have a few sources of poison damage with the Dark Elves, but you don't really have any poison ranged, and the Khanite Assassin does give you that ability. He's a little bit squishy. You do have to be careful not to get him sniped out, but he definitely can give you a nice option for that debuff and the again, the poison missile damage. Great for sniping out light targets like casters or low armor lords. Somebody like Gotrek as well, he'd be very good at sniping out because he's quite accurate, and again, his missiles do a lot of damage. We'll play the Dutch Skink, though. I think for this infantry type rush build, you probably would want to swap the Glady out for the male Glade Lord. Even just taking him on horseback, although he won't be that good of a combatant, having the, the Helm of Discord, just to give that area of effect debuff, would be quite strong for this kind of infantry-centric wide rush build. So if we go ahead and have a look here for the Wood Elves. Yeah, the Glady on horseback, pretty decent, of course, with the Prey of Anathrema, but since you're going with more of a melee-centric build, I would say if you're definitely, it can be very strong, but if you're going to go that route, I would say you definitely want this guy, the Call of the Woods, pretty good. You can maybe keep Foe Seeker and Deadly Onslaught if you want to. They're not super impactful on him, but of course, the thing you really want is the Helm of Discord, and if he's on horseback as well, it can also help to take this Banner of the Hunter King, just for that additional melee attack and charge bonus on your infantry units. War Dancers do have pretty good charge bonus, 24 on the sword version. It's actually not too bad for an infantry unit, so 22 as well on Wildwood Rangers. So you can get a little bit of synergy there. Of course, if you have Wild Riders, they synergize very well with that banner. They already do cause fear, which isn't, not super impactful for that part, but at the very least the melee attack and charge bonus is pretty nice. It's a little bit expensive for what you pay for it, but it can help synergize with those melee rush builds. Also, in addition, I mean, the Spellslinger Lore of Shadows was pretty decent, but for rush builds, I would say you maybe want to opt for Lore of Beasts, especially because Dutch Skink's build there didn't have any Source of Terror. So in that case, you could bring Lore of Beasts and summon Mancores just to give you that terror option. And of course, things like Pan's Pelt can be good to give you extra speed and physical resistance. Flock of Doom is obviously good for damaging infantry. You could take Amber Spear if you're worried about enemy heavy cavalry or just cavalry in general. Amber Spear is pretty decent at dealing with. So a kit like this, or maybe you just take a Flock of Doom instead, I think might be a little bit better than Lore of Shadows, but certainly Lore of Shadows is pretty decent here. Lore of Life, if you're not taking a really monster-centric build, more of a wide infantry-focused build, makes sense to not necessarily bring Lore of Life, but personally I think, because especially that build did lack a Source of Terror, and your terror monsters for the Wood Elves are all reasonably expensive. Maybe you could upgrade this guy to a Forest Dragon, but can be risky against Dark Elves because of their missile plays, so yeah, taking him on a horse definitely makes sense, and you do want some Source of Terror at least, so I definitely recommend at least taking Transformation of Kadan. But otherwise, very well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. Yeah, the Khanite Assassin, definitely recommend. If you haven't been using him as Dark Elves, he's definitely a nice option, especially you can cheap him out. Take him with different kits here. I mean, the Black Lotus is okay. Maybe against Greenskins you would want to take this. It's not the best. Dark Venom can be okay as well. I'm not the biggest fan either, because you really don't want him in melee too much if you can help it. It does have great melee attack, but his weapon strength isn't great. Of course, with that Dark Venom, it does get a lot better, but still. Web of Shadows is pretty decent. That 24% speed slow, and the direct damage is pretty good. It says it's strong versus a single combatant. I haven't actually tried the damage scaling on this, so I'm assuming it's pretty decent. Black Dragon Egg is okay. Not the best breath attack in the world, but it's decent. But yeah, typically I would take him with this cheap 778 kit with just the Assassin's Trophy and able to support a heroic engagement. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.